we don't want to be defending by staying in our defensive zone, trying to shut them down. We want to be able to, get some ozone time as well against these lines as well. And by doing that, you're defending. You're also giving your score. And I mean, to are capable of that. It's just a matter of, is our second line with Suzuki capable of doing that? I mean, that's a tough decision to make. We know he's going to be handcuffed to Toffoli, and you want to see Caufield in the lineup, but Armia's had such a good, and people will lose their fucking shit. Habs fans like, oh, how do you play Armia over Caufield? But I mean, he makes the right decisions out there. He's, hard to beat defensively. And then, you do spend time in the ozone with him on the ice. But then you may not produce if it's him out there 5-on-5. Whereas if Caufield is out there in the ozone, you may. But will you get into the ozone with Caufield on that line? That's the thing, right?
I've watched enough games since Caufield's come, and I mean, it's exciting when he gets the puck on his stick. And I tweeted something the last few days. And again, you say Caufield out of lineup, you're just getting like ready to get grilled because like, how dare you? But when he's on the ice, I've often found that he's hemmed in his own zone, whether it's his fault or not. It's like a nature of the beast, but he's in there. The last thing I think that Ducharme's going to want is to have that risk, that type of risk, and for trade-off with reward if he's hemmed in versus Matthews or Tavares line. Because at the end of the day, that's a big, one goal can make the difference here, especially if Campbell's hot. So it's hard for me to figure out. And again, we're on the road to start, so I think I suppose we'll get into the more matchup conversations on Toronto.
Yeah, because that's a good point. On the road first, because that's the whole thing I thought is like Riley Nash. I mean, we've all seen him play at the Bruins. Well, he's known for being a shutdown center also. So my whole thing was like, could the Leafs possibly try to match him up last change against the Suzuki line? Then you got to worry about Deneau against Matthews. Then you get the Tavares against, whoever Montreal, Kotkaniemi, I guess, right? Yeah, right. So that's another thing. But to your Caufield point, I mean, worst case scenario, he doesn't play game one and they lose or whatnot or whatever. The kid's going to play in the series. I think especially for Montreal, like to win this series, they're going to have to score power play goals when they get their chances. So, I mean, taking that kid out would be, but like you said, you can't have him out there playing 11, 12 minutes and he's having his own zone. He's a -1. That's tough. That's not.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. He's got to be in the lineup somewhere so you can sneak him out there on the power play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, like in those first two road games to line match. Just thinking of it now, though, like our, newly formed third line or whatever you want to call it, with Evans at center, Lehkonen on one wing and Byron on the other. Like, don't count those guys out defensively. They've shown and Byron continues to be a really underrated player in the league. When he's healthy, he play drives big time. He can finish in tight. And Evans' defensive play this year has been, a huge help for us. So that really could help us in the line matching as well. Like you said, if Sheldon Keefe is going to try and catch us off guard and have the JT line out against, a more, a better matchup for them, then Ducharme's probably going to want to try that to be the Evans line. But yeah.
There's so many scenarios to run through your head.
Oh, I mean, for us to try to work through it, imagine the
coaching
side. Jesus Christ. And they have the offense and defense. Who are you putting out? I just think so. Just for the discussion point, we'll assume it's Suzuki. Actually, so we have Deneau, Gallagher, Tatar. Matt, are you Suzuki, Toffoli, Armia? Is that who you're with, or do you have Caufield in there?
The way I wrote out this lineup, I'm Suzuki, Toffoli, Armia / Caufield. I think that's what it is. And it's just, we very well may see Armia in the road games and Caufield in the home games. That would actually make sense to me.
Is it Anderson, Corey Perry, and Staal, or is it Anderson, Corey Perry, and Kotkaniemi?
Yeah,
we have questions.
Tough. It's huge questions. I have no idea how to line up this Habs forward group. Ducharme has some major decisions to be made here. At this point, the way Kotkaniemi's been playing to close out the season, I'm not super confident that he'll be in the lineup. And again, I'm not so sure Habs fans would be happy with that. But I mean, and as frustrating as Eric Staal is to watch, he's not getting scored against anymore. So it's hard. I mean, I think you have to. I don't know. I have no idea, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I think I'd go with the young guy in Kotkaniemi who has the speed and hopefully can maybe get his game going. He'd definitely offer something more offensively. He's looked fine on the power play. So yeah, it's tough, but and then Anderson technically on a fourth line. I mean, he's on 28 goal pace, right? So it's weird, right? I think the biggest thing for the Habs in the bottom six is that Evans, Lehkonen, and Byron line, I think, is going to be incredibly crucial to Dominic Ducharme being able to. I throw that line out against Matthews. I'm that confident in their, as a group, their ability to defend. So I think he's going to that line's going to jump up and down in terms of ice time, but it would be definitely nice to pair up Josh Anderson with someone who he can produce with. So
I'll say this.
I'll
say this about Kotkaniemi. If you have Anderson on the fourth line, Anderson just plays a different game against the Maple Leafs. Whatever it is, he's played against I guess his hometown team, whatever you want to call it. He just brings a different nastiness against Leafs than he does other teams. If you can drill into Kotkaniemi's head, because we've seen him do it before, get in on the forecheck, bang bodies, use your speed. You're on the fourth line. If you don't score, whatever. But with those two getting in on the forecheck, banging bodies, they should be able to create a little bit just off that alone, you would think. So as a Leaf fan, I'd rather Montreal chuck Staal in, to be honest, because but Kotkaniemi, forget about where he was drafted. If you can drill into that kid's head for this playoff series, in on the forecheck, in on the forecheck, in on the forecheck.
Just accept a role here. And get the job done.
And you know what? He's a Finn. Finns have no problem by recent memory of accepting roles.
Buying in, yeah.
And exactly.
And it's funny because you're hearing, and again, you know how it is in our markets, the rumors that come up. Oh, Staal had a clause where he had to play. He couldn't be scratched. I don't know if it's true or not.
Dude, he's in Buffalo. It's you had what are you doing?
Yeah, you're welcome for the trade, Eric.
Yeah,
you don't dictate terms here, but be it as it may, if that was somewhat the scenario, I mean, fuck you. Now it's the playoffs, so we have to do
exactly.
What we have to do. Kotkaniemi, I mean, the kid's finally getting days off. That's one thing. A kid that's that age, that's typically a rake. He put on some muscle mass before the year. And now he's been playing, a game every other night and playing, 15 minutes a night. I mean, he's shedding off any muscle mass that he had, and he is exhausted. There's aspects no one really talks about too much with the younger kids, but he's done. He was done. So this week, I'm assuming Ducharme will be watching. He's a pretty bright guy. We all know from the Mooseheads days. I'm sure he'll select the right one for the benefit of us and hopefully the demise of you guys. Sorry, but
I love that you bring that up too, because if you compare him to Nick Suzuki, who's just a year older or a year and a half older or whatever, they're two completely different centers that play very different styles of game. And the way that Kotkaniemi plays, and the reason why he hasn't peaked yet, is because the way he plays, he needs to be a big hulking center with weight who is not going to get worn down over time. Whereas Nick Suzuki's the smarter guy who's kind of shifting in and out of space and finding the right areas to go. And he's not in the corners banging away and trying to win puck battles, right? So I can see exactly what you're saying, and that wears him down over the season. Maybe the week off, does good for him. And, I like what Tyler said too, accept the role. And he did it just that last season, led our team in hits in the return to play and in the playoffs, and tied for the lead in goals. So
fucking greaseball too. Knocking a guy out of the game, just dirtbag.
Love it though. Hey, I don't buy that hockey at all.